Okay guys, this is Josh Bertrand. This is my audience. Alright. And my stuff. I'm going to pause the video while I get everything set up. Thank you. Hi there, my name is Joshua Bertram. I'm going to be showing you how to change a tire today. So, we've all been in that situation, hopefully, not recently, but if not, you will eventually get into it. I hate to break the news to everybody, but it happens to the best of us. So let's just say, for instance, you're on your way to class one day. You have a huge exam that you've been studying for all week long. You decide to drive, you get down, you start to feel a funny feeling in your car, things don't sound right, so you pull over to the side of the road, and you realize that you have a flat tire. Your first instinct, well, let's call someone. Well, you were rushing out the door and you forgot your cell phone. So unfortunately, that's where this video will come into play. We're going to learn how to change your tire, so hopefully that we can avoid that situation and get you to class on time. It's going to be done in about 3 easy steps. The first step will be gathering your tools, finding a safe and secure place to park your vehicle. The second step we're going to be doing is pulling the tire itself off, and then the third and final step will be replacing the tire with a new tire. As you can see here, I've already gathered my tools. I have a jack as well as my lug wrench, and my owner's manual I will not be using because it's not a necessity, but if you do have one, it will help you out tremendously, especially if you've never done it before. But changing a tire is a lot like riding a bicycle, so if you've never done it, but once you have done it as many times as I can, or I have, then it's kind of like easy breezy and you'll be done in no time. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video while I jack this tire up. But the first thing I'm going to do is make sure that I'm in a safe, secure place to be able to do this. Obviously I am, because I'm in my driveway, but you may not be so lucky. So the number one things you want to look for are, you're going to find the best case scenario. So if you're driving, you want to try to find a flat spot to park your vehicle on. Jacking it up on an incline can cause a lot of different problems for you. Your car could slide off of the jack and so forth. The other thing you want to do is you want to try to find a long, clear stretch of roadway. That way oncoming traffic can see you come through, and that way they can have time to either shift over to the other lane or slow down to make sure that they don't hit you in any way. The other thing you want to do is you want to make sure you're parked far enough away from the road to make sure that nothing does hit you, obviously. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause this video while I jack this tire up, that way to save on some time. Okay? I'll be right back. Okay, as you can see right here, I've already jacked up my tire. It takes a little while to do that. It's probably the worst part of it all. The other thing is, you'll see on here that we have lug wrenches. So we're moving on to step 2, which is going to be removing the tire. These are lug nuts. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Some have 5, most have 6 on them. What we're going to do is remove these. We're going to remove the tire, and then we're going to replace the tire as well as relock those back on. Now, sometimes once these lug nuts have been sitting on for more than a period of time, they're a little bit hard to loosen. So in order to do that, we will take our lug wrench while the tire is still on the floor before you jack it. You'll take it, slide it on there, and you're going to just basically give it a good kick, and it'll knock it off. I've already done that before I jacked the tire up, and as you can see, I've jacked it up far enough to where I can spin the wheel freely. Sometimes they recommend that you go up to 6 inches. I strongly believe that as long as you can spin the wheel freely, you can pull it off and you should be good to go. When you remove these lug nuts, you're going to do them one at a time, and you're going to do them in a crisscross pattern. What I mean by that is you're going to pull them off from across from one another, almost like if you draw a star and you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's how you're going to pull this off. So we'll get these off. Another important thing that I want to point out is that some vehicles, especially newer ones, have what's called locked wrenches, or locked lug wrenches, lug nuts, I'm sorry. And they are kind of like a security feature to make sure nobody steals your car. The problem is that if you don't have the right lug wrench, you will not be able to get this lug nut off. That's why it's really important to make sure that you have checked to make sure you have a spare tire that was inflated. Check to make sure that your lug wrench is the proper lug wrench for your tire size, so you don't run into this problem when you're on the side of the road and this won't come off. Once again, while we're doing this, we're keeping an eye out to make sure that we are not in harm's way of any kind of traffic. We're being aware of our situations and our surroundings. If you happen to deal with this event at night, you may want to add your hazard lights, put them on. This will allow everybody to kind of keep an eye out for you, even some people that aren't paying attention. That's the last one. Alright. So, tire's off now. This is basically what we have. It's underneath. No big deal. Next thing we're going to do, we're going to pretend like this tire is our spare tire, and we're going to put it right back on. We're going to be ensured to match that the lug nut holes match where these lug screws are. You're going to put them on like pieces to a puzzle. Now, as you can see here, I don't know if you can, hold on. As you can see here, I'm going to put these lug screws, lug nuts back on. The lug screws in the same type of order that I pulled them off on. Once again, in that cross star pattern. And we will tighten these on as best we can. while the tire is still jacked up. Still, once again, we're going in that opposite of one another pattern. Alright, so once we have that done, we've made sure that everything's on, we'll lower our jack down. And this is going to take a second, so I'm going to pause the video again. Okay guys, so got the jack down, have the tire on. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure that these lug nuts are on nice and secure, nice and tight. Even try to kick it a little bit, make sure it's on as good as well. If you have any questions about which way you should put it or which way you should turn it, lefty loosey, righty tighty, so turn your right to tighten it on, turn to your left to loosen it off, okay? So, that's just going to about do it for this. Most important thing is this totally took about 20 minutes. If you're going to call AAA or anybody else for any kind of help, it's probably going to take you roughly in the range of an hour or two from my experiences. So hopefully you learn a good bit from this video. Remember, 1, find a safe, secure place to park your vehicle. I'm in a parking deck, so that helps out hugely. 2, gather all your tools beforehand and afterwards. Meaning, make sure that you have everything you need to change a tire before you have to change a tire. There's no sense in being in a situation you're not prepared for. 3, pull the tire off, you jack it up, you find a stable place on the axle of the vehicle nearest the tire that you're going to be jacking or changing, and jack it up there. 3, loosen your lug nuts before. You'll have to break them before you jack and then loosen them afterwards. Remove the tire once the lug nuts are off, replace it with your spare tire. Put the lug nuts back on, tighten them on while the tire is still on, and then once you hit back down to the ground and pull the jack out from under it, you want to make sure that it's been tightened once more again. So in conclusion, now you know how to change a tire, and hopefully this will help you get to your test on time. Thanks so much, and you guys have a good day.